I'm delighted to welcome for what is seemingly a kind of series of podcasts unexpectedly. So very delighted to welcome for the third time Geza Terjanyi. Welcome, Geza.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thank you, as always. And I keep on being asked by Maggie, whose land I live on here, how do you where does your name come from? Because it's not like John Smith or Mary Brown or whatever, is it? So can you give us a bit of background on how you got your wonderful name?
Well, I'm just going to say very, very brief. It could have been worse. It could have been. It's Hungarian, and it could have been called Pitzfiam or something else. So my mother went, "No, you can't call him that. You can't call him that." So eventually, I got my dad's name, Geza Terjanyi, so which is Geza Terjanyi, Terjanyi, and that was it. And what it's made me, to be honest with you, having an unusual name in Preston or in Lancashire, wherever I am. It's made me. And the best way I can describe it is if you've ever heard of a song called A Boy Named Sue, he said, "Why do you call me Sue? Because I know life would be rough." And he didn't do it for that reason, but I totally identify with that song. So yeah, life ain't easy for a guy called Geza.
But you're certainly memorable, regardless of whatever your name is. You're certainly a memorable person. So today we're chatting particularly about the green agenda. Is it really green, Geza? Is it really a green agenda, or are we the ones being green and naive, believing in it?
Well, remember, what I want people to understand is I'm just like everybody else out there. So I was believing the BBC, I was believing the green agenda, the climate change and everything. Even though I've been in Lytham, St. Anne's for 30 odd years, nearly 40 years, and I haven't seen the sea rising any higher than it was 40 years ago. So, I mean, that's got to be an absolute lie. We've had no flooding. But yeah, we've been suckered in to an agenda where they're using climate change and the fear of climate change, that we've only got 12 years to live, to control every aspect of our lives. And the green agenda is the most fascist group of people you would ever wish to meet in your life. There is no wriggle room. It's their way or no way. And that to me is fascism, when they're dictating what your lives are. So, and what the proof we have now is, why are they, the Greens, Friends of the Earth, with all their contacts and all their stars and all the media contacts they've had over the years, they're very quick to put them on there when there's to be our voice. But why are those voices not coming out about our liberties and our freedoms? They're still going on about climate. So to me, if anybody has got any doubt whatsoever about the Greens, and I'm going to be clear, that's Green Party, Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, and the supporters like Ecotricity and Lush, I have witnessed what these people do. They suck the oxygen from any frontline campaigning, and they're controlled, completely controlled.
You mentioned two companies there. Was it Ecotricity and Lush?
Lush, that are funding the Spy Cops case in court. Yet they did a video in 2018, 2019 called Power Trip. And Power Trip, even though they were told, and I'm not shy, I made sure that they knew about it, that we were being absolutely decimated by certain characters, controlled characters, government, industry, people with criminal records being blackmailed or bribed to do their job for them. Yet they did a video called Power Trip. There was a complete lie from beginning to end, saying that Reclaim the Power from Bristol had come up to Preston Road to help us. We didn't need anybody's help. They came up to suck the oxygen away from us and set up a case that, again, the reason I am so dangerous to these people is the fact that I'm here for the last 10 years. So I bring a depth of evidence and experiences that nobody has. It's all in here. If you've experienced it, you can't write it down. It's in your head, and you can select that at any moment. And that's why I'm so dangerous. I know the danger. I'm in a unique position from being the very first house damaged by fracking in this country. On April the 1st, it's 10 years tomorrow. 10 years since my house was damaged, and this government, the Tory government, well, the government in general, Labour and Tory, because there's no opposition now, woke up a monster. And I am out here to devastate the lies and the deceit and the fraud, the organised criminality behind this. And the Greens are right front and centre. They make it appear that they're the opposite to what the the governments are. The government need the Greens, and we've got a recording of Gail Bradbrook of Extinction Rebellion who has just said that.
So I've heard the term bandied about quite often these days, controlled opposition. So are you saying that anything green that's in the kind of mainstream, they are controlled opposition?
Absolutely everything. That's the head of Friends of the Earth, head of Greenpeace, head of the Green Party. And the reason I can say that is because when you look at their experience, now I've just been doing it 10 years, which is just a drop in the ocean, right? I've had no experience whatsoever to work what I've been doing. But when you see it and then you pass it on to say these people that have been campaigning for decades, now they know infiltrators, they know the opposition, they know criminals are put in, they know about blackmail and whatever, yet they never ever question even one of these people that I was flagging. Not one. I never had a voice. I never ever had a voice. But the thing is, with like most things, I don't get angry about it. I just pursue them and I record them and I go in their faces, just like I do with the politicians now. But what I'm doing is a recording that they put out there with the power trip video. I suggest anybody looks at it. The power trip video from beginning to end. Those people that are on there are not heroes. Those people on there are the controlled opposition that suck the oxygen out of Preston New Road. So can I just take a second or two just to go through? I just thought I'd just write a list down to bring people up to speed, because believe it or not, I would say 98% of this country didn't know about fracking, and they never will. It's not affecting them. Though, had we not been successful in stopping it, then 2/3 of the country would be fracked. That'd be your water table, air quality, your road. I mean, the roads are bad enough now. Imagine having many, 60, 70 ton trucks going along it, with fracking fluid or whatever. There would have been even more damage. So just a background. So tomorrow is 10 years since my house was damaged by, there you go, that's it. Have a cup of coffee, because I'll fill you in quickly. You'll finish that by the time of this. But it's just a quick like I said, update. So April 1st tomorrow is going to be the 10th anniversary of my house being damaged, which I witnessed. I was in my home early hours of the morning. Everything shook. Everything. The chair was shaking. I was on an office chair with wheels on it. It was shaking about this much from side to side. Very excited. I've never been in an earthquake in my life, so I was buzzing. Anyhow, it was about 4 or 5 months later that we found out the truth, that it was fracking. And like everybody else, I tapped in my keyboard. In fact, I was lucky enough to look at the Tyndall report, and there was 2 or 3 experts in front of the senators in America that were in an inquiry, and they did little sections of about 5 or 6 minutes. I haven't got a long time span for watching all this information, so it was very quick. And then I realized that it was the first frack, and that if I worked hard, I could stop fracking. Now, what the position I was in at that moment was, I was a successful DJ, kids entertainer. I was in a 4-bedroomed house. I was working 7 days a week, loved my job, didn't even have a holiday. But at that moment in time, and just this is a little bit of insight into what I was facing at the time. And that's why now nobody can touch me, as in mentally. That's why I'm mentally strong. What had happened was I've been happily married for a year. And my wife had taken, unknowing, without anybody telling her, taken a pill called Yasmin, and that had 2 ingredients, and one of them triggered bipolar. We didn't know that at the time. So she came off it when we realized massive mood swings. When she came off it, it triggered bipolar, and it was rapid bipolar. 10 days, about 10 days in bed. Well, she actually lost weight. You would have thought you'd be eating, but she lost weight. Then she had about 4 or 5 days bouncing off the ceiling with no sleep, little to no sleep, no sleep virtually. And then I'd have my wife back again. And it took about 6 or 7 months for me to find out. And it was just an article in the paper that I realized that these symptoms were bipolar. It took me another year to get back. Nearly broke me. That, the woman that you love, that nearly broke me. I was very, very close. I got to a point where I couldn't even speak on a day, not every day, but just one particular day. I realized how low I was. And then I just started fighting back. So the outcome of that was I divorced my wife, because it wasn't ever going to work between the 2 of us. She couldn't get herself better. And now she's in a better place. All right, now I'm going to bring that up at why it's important that you need to know that in a second or two, how the enemy work. And this is a warning to anybody else. Now, I'm hard as nails now. Well, I've always been pretty tough, but I'm hard as nails now, as in nobody can get anywhere near to the pain I was feeling then. All right, nobody, absolutely nobody. Anything they say just bounces off me. So they can try. And what they do, well, I'll explain that in a second. So the first group I set up was a group called, at the end of 2011, so it was April 1st, 2011 with the earthquakes. By the end of 2011, I saw a video called Fracking Hell. If anybody wants to know about fracking, have a look at that. Best video there's been. It covers everything. It's about, go for the 20-minute version. And it was explaining about fracking. And I went, blimey, this is bad. And there was only a handful of people there. So I said, should we start a group? So early 2012, we set a group up called, which was RAF, which was Resident Action on Foul Fracking. And I didn't realize then I was already being played. I was already using the Delphi technique, and people can look into the Delphi technique. This is how they ostracize a person that's, you know, really keen or got good questions. They sideline you, undermine you, you know, just pat you on the head. Oh, you're doing a good job. Because I was going with these people because I thought they had experience, you see, also with Friends of the Earth. Anyhow, I took that for about 3 months and then I left. I went, no. I set up a group called Frack Free Filed, and that was from day one to help other groups around the country. I hired a room in Lytham called Lytham Cricket Club, and that was purely for people to use. So at short notice, so let's say something came in or an action needed doing, I said, well, you can use this. This is available to everybody, anybody in the country, anybody in Lancashire. And I booked it 7 till 9. It cost me thousands. You know, it came out of my own pocket, but I didn't mind because I was earning money anyhow then. So that's where we were. Now, subsequent to that, the first group I set up called RAF, Resident Action on Foul Fracking, was chaired eventually. We did have a first chair. He was forced out. He was hounded out. A good guy, was a doctor. He was hounded out, and a guy called Ian Roberts came in. And we found out in 2017, it took all that time, so 2011 to 2017, I found out that his brother was Mark Roberts, Chief Inspector of Manchester Police, who was Gold Command over 2 sites where there was horrific violence against the protesters. It was just simply walking the trucks in and trucks out. People, cheekbones broken, legs broken, women having their faces shoved in the ground with 3 or 4 coppers, one of them actually smiling on his back. And his brother, Ian Mark Roberts, was in command. He was Gold Commander of that. So when we found that out, everything fell into place. And get this, he was a Green Party candidate for the council in 2010 or 2011. So when you look at these things, and that was sort of like putting all the pieces together. When I heard that, so many things then just went bam, bam, bam. That fits in, that fits in. Now, had it not been me, with all the experience I'd had, then we wouldn't have known. What we gone now? So up to that point of 2014, I started getting the groups together, organising the groups called Preston New Road, Rosica, Singleton, Fleetwood. There was a few groups in the area, Reef and RAF. Well, Reef were on the, but that helped us as well. So we managed to organise ourselves to win at Lancashire County Council against the odds. Greenpeace and Green Friends of the Earth were no help whatsoever, but they took credit, like everything else, to take the credit. So we closed 4 sites that were ready to frack. That was Preston New Road. No, that was Anna's Road, which I stayed outside of for 5 days to notify the millionaires that were on the back. Didn't know it was a fracking site. Singleton, which was Presaw Farm. We had a place next to a banks that was next to Southport. That was closed. That's now back to, all these are back to fields. And the other one was Singleton. What's the other one? There was a 4th one. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anna's Road, Singleton. Anyhow, there was 4 altogether. Presaw Farm. Oh yeah, Presaw Farm was the other one. So closed all 4 sites. So we were already, you know, in a driving seat. And then Preston New Road and Rosica were the next ones that were on there. We managed to win at Lancashire County Council at LCC. Again, against the odds, well organised. Even they commented how organised we were, professional, what they're saying. And then after winning, Sajid Javid then came in and overruled it and allowed the Preston New Road site. And that was my next layer of where I was having to learn new skills. So we've done all the council side and all the planning side of it. And remember, all that knowledge was then in here. to use when the site came up, and boy did I use it.
Can I just interrupt, Geza, because not everybody knows what fracking is. The number of people I've spoken to recently, and I say, isn't it wonderful that there's no fracking in the UK? And they turn around and go, well, what's fracking? So can you just explain?
Well, there's actually 4 ways to frack, and the 4th way was the way they wanted to bypass the councils. So the first thing we did was we got the first 4 sites that were in Lancashire were passed by a guy called Stuart Perigo, who's the planning officer. So he just ticked it off. You know, there was no planning, no opposition to it because we didn't know about it. Now, fracking's basically you go into about a mile down into the earth there, and then you go into the shale layer, which is compacted shale layer of rock that contains gas, and then you go about a mile. You can go up to 4 miles actually. You can go a mile horizontal, and then what you do, you set a charge off which fractures the rock, punches holes in the casing, and then you pump water in it, and then that with sand in it, and the sand goes between the cracks and then allows the gas to come back up at the pipe. And each one can have 30 different stages. We can have more than that, obviously, how deep you go or how long it is. But the ones that we saw was 30 different stages. And each stage has got a casing, the charge stick, which is made by Halliburton. This was something that I managed to stop. I managed to stop a Preston Road, by the way. Is a long tube, and the conical charges spiral all the way down this tube. There's 180 charges containing depleted uranium, and I stopped that. I stopped that at Lancashire County Council. So what they had to do then was use perforated cases that went down. So they're already cases were already sent down with a casing on with a sheath on it, so they could pull it, so then open up the holes. So we got rid of that, and then it was fraught with danger from that moment on. So then what they do is it releases the gas, and that comes up to the surface. And obviously they tanker it away, or they put it into the national grid. Now that's fracking for shale. That's shale gas fracking. Now you've got coal bed methane, which is the same process, but it's done in the coal bed layer. There's more chance of contamination because that's closer to your aquifers. All of this is going to contaminate your aquifers, and once they're contaminated, they're contaminated forever. You can't clean an aquifer. It's simple as that. So then you will not be able to drink your water, your fresh water.
Sorry, contaminating your what? Your
aquifer. You know, where you drill into your wells. Well, that's an aquifer. You know, of rock, chalk rock, and then you've got that's full of water, and it's been filtered for thousands of years. And then, you know, once that's contaminated, you can't use that again for your animals or anything. That's what part of fracking is, was to contaminate that water and then control those communities, because then you're selling the water. So that's fracking. Then you've got coal bed methane. Then you've got underground coal gasification, and all of these have been beaten in this country, by the way. The other one was underground coal gasification, and that was the most dangerous. That's only been used twice, I think, in the world. In Australia, it's still burning down there. And what they do is they drill down. You have 2 drills. You have one, and then you drill down there. You set fire to the coal face, right, to the coal, and then you regulate. It's like a Bunsen burner. You put oxygen down there to keep it fire, and then the gas that comes up runs a generator. Okay. Fraught with danger. Like I said to you, it's still burning in Australia. It's contaminated many kilometres of land. Well, the group in Scotland managed to get rid of Jim Ratcliffe, the richest man in Britain, and they kicked his ass. So it's not just our community doing that. It's, you know, once you know about it, then you can do something. So they got rid of him. When he came down here, we had another legal team that was down here that got rid of him down here as well. So Jim Ratcliffe he's losing hand over fist. So you take on the community, you can beat these bastards. You really can. And it just takes hard work. You know, I'm not afraid of hard work. I never thought I'd be doing this. So that's the 4. That's the 3. So you've got shale, coal bed methane, underground coal gasification. Now the 4th one was called acidization, and because that didn't have anything with fracking, you know, fracking fluids in it, it was hydrofluoric acid or hydrochloric acid. You said one to me. What was the one that you said? Some acid. There's one that you can take, and there's one that's really, really, I think it's hydrochloric acid.
Oh, hydrochloric acid, yeah, you take that for stomach
yeah,
issue.
It's so volatile that you can't mix it on the surface. You have to mix it down the well. Anyhow, so they tried to get around it, and we have 4 good people in Wrestle over in Yorkshire, Lincoln, in that area, and they beat the government. We ambushed the government, and we beat them on that 2 times at the council and 2 times at judicial review. And eventually the government overruled it, but they've done that good a job that they can't use hydrochloric acid. They can't use it because they've done that good a job on it that the council won't allow them to use it. So the 4th way, we've even beaten them on that as well. And that's what it is. I was going to mention where we are now, but I'm going to keep to the Greens. Okay, so that's where we are. So that's 4 ways to frank. The 4th one was a way to try and get around the council, because they're just sneaky. That's what they do all the time. They try and change the barriers. Now, 2 years ago, after getting all this knowledge, after watching the video Power Trip, I thought it's about time to take it to the Greens. So every year on April the 1st, I do an action to mark when I came on board. All right, so I'll be doing another one tomorrow, by the way, and I'm back on Facebook in about 2 hours. So, but it's not allowed me to get in contact with some of the groups that are in all through Facebook. So I'm having to delay my main ones till Monday. So April will be a full month. Now, in April 1st, 2019, I think it was, I did an attack on Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, and Green Party. So who's it? Sean, I can't remember what her name is. Sean, the head of Green Party. I can't get it in my head. So anyhow, I went to their offices, and the one that really shone for me was I did a lock on. I found out that Reclaim the Power, that they were the stars of the Power Trip video, had 2 days at Friends of the Earth. Now, I had to show a link between Reclaim the Power and Friends of the Earth, because Friends of the Earth should know that these are controlled opposition, yet they're allowing them to use the building. So I went, all right. So when I went in on the Saturday, I did a lock on. I did one of their actions. So I did a lock on in Friends of the Earth, and to out them and videoed the whole thing, live stream the whole thing. We'll put that up onto my page later on. So we did a lock on, exposing them, exposing how they talk to you. And then they actually phoned the police up, and I had 6 officers around me that didn't want to arrest me. And by the way, it was just a bike lock that was on the thing. It was more of a token, if you will. But anyhow, they listened to me. Eventually I did leave. But what I also did, so that was the action to expose Friends of the Earth. I also went into the meeting of a day before of the who's the CEO of Friends of the Earth. And so, you know, why they're actually having the board meeting. So we have a video evidence of me explaining to him what's going on down at Preston New Road. Now, remember, these people should know about the opposition. They are not flagging any opposition whatsoever. None. Zip. You would have thought they would, you know, ostracize these people and make sure they have a site with these people's names on it. All right, I'm not going to say the names on here so that this could go out. Okay, I'm not going to say the names on here. But they are on that video, Power Trip. The video I've done, which she edited, is called Power Trap, and that gives the reality of what we were doing and what we're facing down there. So, yeah, I went to Friends of the Earth on April the 1st that year. I went to see John Sullivan at the head of Greenpeace, Greenpeace, yeah, at their buildings. I videoed him outside. I said to him, offered him an interview. He didn't interview me. It's funny how he interviewed Extinction Rebellion, but won't interview a single person like me. Extinction Rebellion's got £3 million pot. We know what they're doing. We know they're exploiting. We know they're there to stop protests, because they give the information that stops the protest. But they give them an interview for a good hour and a half. Yeah, they won't even speak to me face to face. And you've got to ask yourself, why will they not speak? I'm not violent. I've got no violent background. I've got a clean record. I've been fighting this successfully. I've got a long record, probably better than them now. Well, I have done. Our record in Lancashire is better than any Greens in fighting fracking, and also in Scotland, the way they fought it up there as well. So Extinction Rebellion are outed, well, Extinction Rebellion, and Gail Bradbrook's now just smashed a window at Barclays, which is criminal. That's not a civil thing, that's criminal. That's how desperate they are. And it's people like me that absolutely decimated these people to out them, and I won't stop. And also Occupy were a group that was down in London. You know, they had all the tents outside St. Paul's, and it was the guy that did it originally. They devastated his campaign. He'd been doing it for years. Well, he'd been out there for a long time. He was out there continually down at Parliament Square. Or Brian Orr, is it Brian Orr? I think it's Brian Orr.
Names.
He's sadly not with us anymore, but he was down there and he said that they devastated what he was doing as well. Even the people that started the Occupy down at down there were saying that the page had been taken over, and that's what these people do. They're there to set up to suck the oxygen away from what you want to be doing. So April the 1st really is a day I mark every single year that woke me up. And also it's really as well to give a voice to those people that sadly not with us. And one of them is called Christine Steele. And Christine Steele was a wonderful lady that I met down at Preston New Road. I'd say so what happened was Sajid Javid overruled Lancashire County Council. And at the beginning of 2017, there was a site then allowed down at Preston New Road. And because I had a judicial review in with my legal team, Quadrilla then had to rush to get that site on there before the judicial review stopped them. So they were saying, oh, we're already drilling and we've already got a site on there. So that rush was set up all sorts of things. So I already knew they were inept. I tagged the name that inept Quadrilla. And so them rushing and then us protesting, so I found my ways to protest because I didn't trust the others, even though there were some good people amongst them, because they didn't realize as well, just like me. So we found ways to slow them down, but also get contractors to pull out. So what they would do then is get new contractors in that didn't know what they were doing. We also put pressure on it. Now, what I didn't realize I was doing at that time was I was actually playing psychological warfare on my enemy. There was no conscious way of doing that, but I was just doing it. And it wasn't until I'd say 6 or 7 months later, with the online abuse I was facing because of this, because I was actually putting my neck out there, and protecting people like Chrissy and other people as well, that I realized then I was actually playing psychological warfare with the enemy, and that was with the police using their tactic of entrapment, and using but always keeping with the truth. If you've got trust in the truth, then they can't beat you. They will never ever beat you, because the thing is, if you go to court, you just tell the truth because it was the truth then. If you were telling any lies whatsoever, they will be unpicked in court. And that's why they never won in court. I've been to court many times now and never been beaten because I believe in the truth. I've been interviewed by the police. Don't take a solicitor because I believe in the truth. If you do that, you're going to win and keep lawful.
So all the experience that you've had with fracking has now stood you in very good stead for this COVID conversation, shall we say. I'm not quite sure what to call it. There's lots of different very rude words that I'd like to say, but I best not. So how was your experience then helping with the COVID conversation, shall we say?
Well, there's one thing here there's a lot of tie-ups, and like I said, the government are being very lazy with what they did in fracking to what they're doing in COVID. That's why it's ideal that a person like me is doing it. And like I said, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to keep doing this. I will never let anybody down. And I'm not doing it for any glory or anything like that. It's literally, if I'm forced away, then you lose all the knowledge that I've got. And I can't do that. It's not in my makeup to do it. So I have to keep doing it. Now, there's one specific thing now that's actually that I can exploit. And because I've taken it for so long, I have got documents. I have got hard drive after hard drive after hard drive. These are 2 terabytes of information, right? That's just a fraction. And by the way, before anybody starts saying, have you got it backed up? Yeah, plenty of people have got the backup on these as well. And I'll send you some as well if you want it. You can have it for your records as well, all right? So what I'm doing is all that information there is linking what we did down at Preston Road and those faces and those characters. That 1 or 2 of them now are raising their heads after a year of inaction. You would have thought any campaigners, including Greens and all them, would be now shouting out for our civil liberties. That's what they've been doing, shouting out for our freedoms. But they're not doing. They're still coming on with the climate change. That's why they've outed themselves. Any campaigner will be fighting the clear and present danger, but they're not doing. So on there is evidence. Now, what I've done is I've taken it for so long, and recordings and the attacks and the abuse and the accusation of paedophilia, wife beater, attacks, transphobia, you name it, fraud, you name it, I've taken it all. And the reason I've taken it all is because I've just documented it. We screenshot everything, we date it all, So when we come to court, we have a paper trail where these people say, these are in your words. Now, what happened on down in London when I was in the pen, there was people down there that some were infiltrated, but some were genuine people, but then they were believing the lies. Okay. So what I've done is I'm now using, so I'm going to frame them two ways. It's the Preston New Road narcs, which were from the fracking, and we've got the London narcs. Now the London narcs are now going to help me out the Preston New Road narcs.
What is a narc for the benefit of
the narc is a person. Yeah, sorry, N-A-R-K-S. Now, by the way, I heard this first time. I did a thing called the High Noon. How long have we got left? Because I don't want to. I want to try and get as much in as I can.
You're fine. Just carry on.
Yeah. High Noon. I did a thing called High Noon. And because I'm an entertainer, I wanted to out these narcs. They weren't called narcs by this time, by the way. So narcs are anybody that works against Preston New Road or the greater good. So they're just the enemy, basically. And you can frame them all. They're just narcs. They work against us, right? But the terminology came from, I did a thing called High Noon in 2018. Now, I've done accusations that I'm stealing money, accusations that I was defrauding people and lying to people, right? So I took it and took it and took it until the day that I went, right, now I'm going to tell you about my books. I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to give you the evidence. And I decimated them. I did a presentation and decimated it. I was even laughing at them because it was so ludicrous. One of the bits of information they were doing, there was all these, I collected, it wasn't a bin full, but it was like a big black bin, and it's called bin fracking. And Manchester had a big march, right? Now, what I did is I stood on a bin in my clown outfit to raise funds for Preston New Road. And I was explaining that these are the ones now, they need your help. And we were getting funds in the bin, and that went to Preston New Road. This is just one example. And what I did at the end of it, the lady that came up, because I was literally losing my voice, there was thousands of people walking past. I had a speaker that was nowhere near loud enough. So I was really giving a lot of energy. I nearly fell off the bin twice, passing out. So this lady that came to the side of me, who I knew, I gave her the microphone. And she was going, just give us a pound, just give us a pound. I wouldn't have done that myself, but she was just give us a pound. So we got loads of pounds in, right? So what I did there is I bagged it up, didn't even touch it. I bagged it up, give them bin liners, give it to them to count. I think it was about £1,600 in there, £1,600. And then they give it directly to Preston New Road. So nobody knew about it, right?
What is Preston New Road, Geza?
Preston New Road is where the fracking site was. It's just on the outskirts of Blackpool. It's an A road that goes between Blackpool and Preston. It's about 12 miles long, right? But obviously the fracking site was just a little section of it. So Preston New Road was where the fracking site was allowed by Terjanyi Javid.
What did they need the money for?
Well, we had two judicial reviews. What happened when Quadrilla first came down to the site? I'm trying to be clear here, but I'm going to get muddied a bit. Well, I'll do it briefly. Preston New Road was one of the two sites that Quadrilla sites that Quadrilla were going for. One was Preston New Road and one was Rosacre. Rosacre was a red herring. We only found this out about 6 months into when we're trying to get organised. We had to work with the chair of Rosacre. I won't say her name yet. You will be hearing about this in future. But the chair of Rosacre was to undermine Preston New Road. Preston New Road was always the target for the government and for the police and everybody else. That was always the target. Rosacre was always to muddy the waters. Polarization. Now I managed to get them together, working together in 2014 to win. We were winning in January of 2015, and we'd done all that. We were winning 5-1. The planning officer, or was it the chair? The chair was asking. Yeah, it was. The chair was asking each individual on the planning committee when they were voting why they were voting the way they were voting. Right, and then he'd say, rather than just do everybody vote in one go and count. We'd never seen this before, and they were saying, put your hand up and then tell us why, and then why you're voting. Now we were winning 5-1, right? I think it was 15 on the planning committee. We're already winning 5-1, and our strongest ones that we knew were going to go against it weren't coming on, and he allowed a deferral. And in that, so then he allowed a deferral. Then eventually it was redone again reapplied again at the council in June of 2015, where we won. But in that time, I had been put on the outside. So the ones in Preston New Road have worked on me. The ones in Rosacre, they wouldn't work with me. So I had to do an individual judicial review when we won. to Preston Road to bring in, and mine was, believe it or not, mine was on environment and health and safety. You know what I mean? That should have been Preston Road, but never mind. What was I saying? So yeah, so Rosica and Preston Road were the two different sites. Rosica was always set up, and the group of Narcs mainly come from Rosica, but we have one or two that were inside Preston Road. One of them was the media expert. And when she left, she went to Frack Free Lancashire, that was the umbrella group for the Lancashire groups, that is now controlled by Ian Roberts, the brother of Mark Roberts. You see how it goes? So then I'm on the outside, rather being on the inside. And that's what I'm saying about Greens, Green Agendas, Occupy, Friends of the Earth. You're either in the group or outside the group. And that's what it is. They use it as a control mechanism all the way down. Same with Extinction Rebellion. They will use it all the way down the line. So Preston Road is where the site is, where we stopped the site originally. We took many months, if not, we took years out of Quadrilla. And it's that really, if anybody says, when you say, did you stop fracking? It was that taking the time out of them, because time's money. So, you know, that period of time, more people got on board. We stopped the contamination. We closed the 4 sites. Media, because we didn't have the media. You know what I mean? Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, they've got all the media, they've got all the stars. You know, what's the name now? You know, they've got all the connections with the stars and everything. It's a clique. It's a clique of people that are together. But we managed. So without the media, without our MP, without the council, we managed to stop fracking, but it cost so much time. So eventually, when we did manage to frack, and because of the earthquakes, which we predicted, our experts were predicted. Does this sound familiar to COVID? That predicted. Then we took a lot of hits down at the site. So what's happening is, with going back to the Narcs, right? So up to that period of time, with the money, you know, I proved that we hadn't stolen any money, and then about 3 weeks later, I had a face-to-face. I said, challenge the 4 people, 4 men. So I couldn't say I was bullying them. So there was 4 men. I won't say the names, but 4 men to a showdown at a place that looked like a cowboy. It looked like OK Corral. It had all the paneling in the front. So I thought, the drama. I always go for the drama. So I said, I'll meet you down there. Name a day. I'll meet you at 12 o'clock. And so I did a video the night before, and I was on a hobby horse with a cowboy outfit going, do not forsake me, oh my darling, you know, giving it light-hearted. So there was no threat. Next day I turned up at 12 noon. I was outnumbered. But the best thing about it was, which I knew they were going to do, and this is what I'm saying to you about, if you're clever and you do psychological warfare on these people, you use the hate against them. I told them at the beginning, I beat them with the hate. And what it was, they were all filming me. And I said to people, go onto their pages and download their films. So they were filming my evidence on their phones. So when I turned up, they were there, they're outnumbering me, and then they got me arrested by the police. Don't need to go into too much detail, but they got me arrested by the police. Somebody was saying that Geza's threatening a massacre. They actually said Geza's threatening a massacre. Oh, by the way, I didn't turn up in a clown outfit or a cowboy suit. I had my shirt on with Force from the North on the back, so people would know it was me, and a red cap, obviously. So anyhow, when I turned up down there, they filmed the police arresting me under false, when I was actually being sexually assaulted by a guy that said he was transgender. He's been a guy for the last 6 years. There's no way straight, just using that. And again, it's just that PC stuff that they keep using. So when I put that video out and people saw it on Facebook, somebody from Bolton, this is where the word narcs come from, bloody a long way to get to it. He said, the narcs have taken over Preston Road. And I went, whoa, I like that. So from that day forward, NARKS was the definition of what these people do working against us. And it's also been used in court. Believe it or not, the enemy, when I went to just see in court and watch a trial, they had me in the dock. So I've gone from having being not being a witness, being just a person turn up at court. They had me in the dock, and then from the dock, the judge says to me, "There's people in here that are panicking about you." Yeah, bloody truth. That's why they're panicking. And they had me in a locked room with a video link in the same courthouse in a video with a guard to protect them from me. And this is what I'm saying to you. This is what I've had to take over a period of time. So the narcs of Preston New Road, that's, I mean, it's only a fraction of what they was doing. Like I said, I was headbutted, I was attacked, I was things thrown at me. The police had to protect us on numerous occasions. I forced the police to do their job, basically, just by being a lawful citizen and witnessing and recording what was going on down there. I also outed people. One guy on camera admitted his ex-wife had accused him of molesting his daughter on camera, and these people were still supporting him. This is the control that they have. One of the people that was the controllers down there tried to do a what they call it, psychological profile. I used to do a thing called Gate Camp, right? Gate Camp was monitoring the site all the time. And I did Tuesday night, so I did it from say 10 o'clock because I'd been meeting on a Tuesday night. So we had a friend down there that was there from 8 o'clock, and we were there. And I'd turn up at 10 after my meeting at Lytham Cricket Club because it was on a Tuesday night. I'd go down there. We're there till 8 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock the next morning. For nothing. We were doing it for, but it's to monitor the site, record the site, document everything. So when they come back to Lancashire County Council, we'd have this documentation. And so, where was I going with that? Gate Camp. I'll have to let that go. Tuesday nights, attacks.
And about how you've been abused basically over the period of the.
Yeah, it was literally just documenting everything that was down at the site. So when when you do, so the narcs, try and get back to what we were doing with the narcs.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah, it was about the guy that was saying about sexually abusing his daughter. But it was the pressure I was putting on him. So what I do, like I'm going to do in April, every year I do a month or 2 months where I do incessant action on a particular thing I want to target. And down at Preston New Road in July of 2018, I stayed, 2018, I stayed there 7 o'clock every morning on a seat outside the site, just witnessing the site. And I stayed there every single morning. And that was to stretch the narcs that were dominating the road. So what I would do is I would stay there and then they would, so documenting the stuff coming into the site, because, you know, obviously Preston New Road, the Gate Camp had been taken over by that time. I had a hammer thrown at me by a moving car, by the way. That was the last night I was down there. It just missed me. We heard it chinging down the road. I actually got video evidence, put it into the police. None of these things investigated. When I was attacked, never investigated. A guy attacked me 3 times. One time was 2. There's a lot to talk about. So anyhow, stayed on the chair all the way through July, and I just videoed all the ones trying to come at me. And that guy, like I said to you, I stretched them that much. They were that strung out and tired that I got more out of them by using their hatred against them. Just asking this guy, I said, what is your real name? He had a false name. And I said, what's your real name? And then he came over the road telling me, well, everybody knows my real name. And everybody knows that I've been, my wife accused me of abusing my daughter. And I just sat there and I was like, for what? I didn't react. I've got a good poker face. I didn't react at the beginning. I let him talk and talk and talk. And then I went, let's just go back to what you just said. And then he was just, you know what I mean? Oh, marriages are bad and this, that, and the other. So anyhow, the body of evidence from the narcs and them attacking me on Facebook, and there's pages up called clown videos that were dedicated to me to undermine my name and lie about me. There was blocked by Geza is another one, and that's still up. I've notified the police about it. And there was various other pages as well to blacken my name. Okay. And what they were doing is they're sending a video out of my ex-wife as well out on Facebook. I never reacted to that because I knew that had been hacked off my YouTube. It was on a private thing that I was going to use the editing facilities on YouTube to help me in my divorce, to show how she'd gone from the loving wife to a person that's got bipolar. And it's clear on these videos. Somebody hacked that page, edited the video that was on there from a 6-minute video down to a 2-minute video and put nasty on it. It's just called nasty. So there's no connection to me whatsoever. Nobody would know it's me. Nobody knows my ex-wife. And what they did was they sent that round to everybody secretly, to all these groups. And people were letting me know about this videos going around. I went, oh, hello. Knowing that we'd gone from a 6-minute video and it's clearly edited to make me look bad. So I know I have no, you know, having divorced, going through the divorce process. And as you know, divorce is really nasty. I know what's in that divorce, and nothing about what's been said in that video has been mentioned. And that's why I smile, because it's just going, you haven't got anything. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get to, you know, because I'm a lawful citizen, you're trying to get something that will force people away. So create the lies and create the doubt to force people away from not trusting me. So it can be anything. But what they've done is they have used, and what I'm doing now, I'm doing more in depth now, why I'm exposing the narcs oppressing your own by the narcs in London. So this video that was put out there, I didn't say anything, didn't react to it, but people started referencing it. And so I was recording them, referencing it, going, oh, what's that video you're talking about then? Am I on it? Do you see my face on it? Is there any name on there whatsoever? Does anybody know my ex-wife? You see, it just had nasty on it. But it also, the page went to a guy called Stanley Matthews, right? Meaning a pro-fracker, a not, there were no narcs by this time, pro-fracker, video and site that's edited this thing to make me look bad when he's just against me, then the ones that's supposed to be on our side were using that video to undermine a guy with a successful record. So it just completely, absolutely decimates him. Now, I had 13 videos that were locked, you know, they were uploaded onto YouTube, so I could edit it and then put it into the court for my defense because I just represented myself, by the way, in my divorce, and I won in my divorce because I hadn't done anything wrong. So again, all documented in my court papers. So I know I am. So when we get to court, now these people are coming out with it, I just go, why isn't it mentioned in the court papers then? You know, lawyers, divorce lawyers are brutal. Yeah. So I've got that in there. The other thing is protect my ex-wife. She is now happy. She's now on a level playing field, which she was never going to be while we're together. And she's now on a level playing field. And what they've tried to do now is bring her back into it, because stress triggers bipolar. Right. And what I'm trying to do, even now, I still love her after, you know, because it wasn't we didn't fall out. It was literally the Yasmin pill that triggered the bipolar. So anything she's done or said since then, and it's never been bad. It's never been bad. We're never going to be back to where we were before. But at least I know if we weren't together, at least she had a chance of sort of having just this plan, especially what I was doing, because I'd already been going through this bipolar thing for a year. So I knew that she would be attacked and she couldn't cope with it. And I knew I had to carry on doing this. I had to make a choice, you know, save my business and my marriage and everything, or win at fracking. And I knew I couldn't carry on doing this. And then she had anyhow, she's getting on well, but they're trying to pull her in and they're trying to trigger, and I won't allow that. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's why, you know, with this, I have to finish these narcs off now, and we're in a position of doing that. The other reality of this is, I've been open from day one. All right, these are revelations. You're not going to believe what you're going to be told now. Now, from day one, I was putting it out there because I knew these people would use it. Right. My dad, I haven't seen since the age of 6 or 7. So I think probably 5. But there was a brief day that we think I almost remember seeing him around the age of 7. But so I haven't seen him in decades. Right. We found out years later that he had. And by the way, the background is, my mum came away from her dad for being violent. He nearly killed her twice, if not more, but, you know, 2 times that we know that he tried to kill her twice. Strangulation. One time he ran out the house. She ran out the house naked, and she had to go to a pub because it would, you know, she was just fear of her life. She took us away from her dad, and then we came back. He didn't expect this to happen on a great green out in the greens. But the thing is, I'm genuine, and what I've got to show people is that these opposition, these Greens, and some of these are Green Party people and Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth people, right? They will use this. So if you're out there and you put it out there, so I've got a mother that was abused. Well, I would abuse somebody if I've got a mother that's been abused, right? I made a point of breaking that chain. So my father, we found out in just recently, and this was again through the narcs, that he'd murdered somebody. We found this out through the narcs. We also found through the narcs that I was born in the hospital I was born in. I just say I'm born in Bolton. I've no part about my past or anything, right? And then one of the narcs found out that what the hospital I was born in. I went, oh, thanks for that. I didn't know that. So sometimes it can be useful. So anyhow, my mother was attacked, abused. She got, and we were attacked and abused. I witnessed my sister as a baby, the silhouette, being smacked in the window. You know, I could see the silhouette at night time. And my dad picked her out of the cot. She was crying. It slapped her one leg, you know, upside down. These are things that are in your brain that you remember, you know, like the horrific things. So you know, my past is what makes me where I am now, but I don't carry it. But what I had to do was be out there and say to people that my dad, then I found out that he had murdered the daughter of a woman he was seeing. We're thinking she was underage. He took the coward's way out, so he murdered her to keep her quiet. And then he either hung himself or in a car. Again, we don't know the background to it, but we do know now that he took his own life. He committed, like the coward he is. You know, these are cowards that hit women and hit children. So so that was my dad. And then to do what they're doing now, number one is that they're not bothered about my ex-wife. They're not bothered about the family that my dad murdered. You know, so they'll be rehashing this if this were to go forward. And the second one is my brother abused his daughter. All right, and we only found this out again over fracking. You know what I mean? So they told me what had happened, and so they're not interested in rehashing what she's gone through. All right. So my family's now made contact with it. My sisters, I will never will, right? Because I mean, it's the, you know, when she's ready sort of thing. So he abused her. He did 3 years in prison. But what they do is, because that's part of a family member, that makes you the person that they are, which is is impossible, as any sane person would think. So, and obviously, I mean, I haven't seen him in at least 30 years, 25, 30 years. And these are the people, one will use it, but the fact that the Greens work with these sort of people outs them as the most evil group of people that you could think of, that they are not bothered about the victims. I carry those victims with me, you know, and we're doing this to protect children, and to tarnish somebody that's doing that, what it is to try and undermine you and drive you away of saying, why are people not believing me that I didn't do that and I wouldn't do that? And so then what they want you to do is to defend yourself. It's a tactic and it's very effective, but it doesn't work with me, because if you're an innocent man or an innocent person, then you have nothing to hide. The burden of proof then is on the accuser. So back to where we're doing now. So we've had all that at Preston Road. We've got blocked by Geza, again tarnishing my name. That's on Facebook, by the way. I've complained to Facebook, they haven't taken it down. And then you have the Narcs of London. Now the Narcs of London are the ones that excuse me a second, why does it always happen? Dog's barking.
The doorbell's just gone.
Okay, get it right. So the Narcs of London are now exposing the Narcs of Preston Road. I've had to wait a long time for it. Now they're saying I'm a paedophile, a fraud, a thief, all sorts of things, right? And what we do now is I've been to Charing Cross Police Station, and also my account, my co-op account, has just been under a fraud investigation for 5 months, 4 or 5 months, cleared. So who made that accusation, and why were they led to believe that there was fraud going on in that account? So I've said to Charing Cross Police Station, I want you to investigate where these people in London have got their information to be led to believe that I'm all these things, which will then go back to Preston Road and then bring up an investigation. Now, a year ago this month, in March, February and March of last year, I visited Blackpool Police Station with chronological evidence of the attacks that they had done, the Narcs had done on me, the online abuse, the physical attacks, the inactivity of Blackpool Police, and the fact that they've visited my sister's home on 4 occasions. The first time about my welfare, that people were threatening to attack me on Facebook. Pardon me. I recorded all these 4, by the way. The second one was to warn me off of the exposing on Raw News about these people, and they were warning me off, and they were saying, I says, so am I doing anything lawful exposing these people? They went, no, you're sailing close to the wind. I said, well, sailing close to the wind isn't breaking the law. Why are you on my sister's doorstep? The third time is when I got attacked at high noon. The same 2 police officers that damaged my wrist, you know, violently put the wrist and snatched my phone off me, without arresting any of the people that made false allegations, because again, it was all recorded. The third time they came up and warned me away from going down to Maple Farm that's on Preston Road, which I never went back to again, didn't need to. And then the 4th time, this was the best one. I was attacked on mid-July of 2018 by 2 guys, one ripping the phone out of my hand and throwing it into a field, damaging the phone. The guy didn't face any charges that attacked me. I videoed him attacking me, right? Didn't face any charges. And the day after, those same 2 police officers that arrested me at high noon came to my sister's house. Oh, no, that was the 3rd one. The 4th one was the police came to my sister's house the day after I'd been attacked. And they said to my sister, first of all, these are the 3 important things it said. First of all, they said, are you scared of Geza? You know, do you feel threatened by Geza? She went, no. Oh, no, first one was, are you bothered about Geza's mental state? What do you think? She went, oh, he's batty as fruitcake. You know me, which you just have a laugh, don't you? And then she said the second one, then she realised what was going on then. And then they said to her, do you feel threatened by her? She went, no, it's my big brother. He always looked after us. No, and that's what I've always done. I've always looked after me. Oh, everybody, bollocks. I've just looked after, you know, protect anyone. And then the 3rd one was the important one. They says, well, he got boxed yesterday. I don't know if you know. She went, yeah, he told me about that, like I wouldn't tell her. And they said there is a risk that he could be sectioned should he carry on what he's doing. Sectioned, right? And we've heard a lot of people have actually been sectioned, and then they're chemically coshed, you know, with injections and everything. So the first thing I did was go to my doctors and got a mental certificate saying, and seconded by another doctor. There is nothing on you. Well, that's why you will never ever see me on the internet saying I'm down, saying I'm depressed, saying why people are picking on me. That's why I say one simple line, and that's saying I am bulletproof. Anything you say to me will not touch me, will not even get close to touching me. Because once you do that, you sign your own death warrant. When you do that,
how are you coping with all these physical attacks, though, Geza? I mean, it must be blinking well wearing you down.
Bulletproof. I'm here to do a job.
Okay,
do a job. They can do what they want. They know they can do. You know, I take it all. One particular time with the Narcs of London, there was a group that went past when we were in the pen, and I don't think I've got one in here, have I? There was like a speaker stand. You know those tripods?
Yes.
A metal speaker stand. And there was children in there, and they insulted them, and they were saying, "Oh, that's Geza from the fracking lot." This was down in London fighting COVID in the protest pen. So me being me, I went out and confronted them and videoed it. And they're all drinking out the cans, and some of them might have been on something else. And there was I was outnumbered 6-1. I like it like that because that way they can never say I'm bullying them. So one of them, they were going on and on. They were saying, "Oh, Geza, the drug dealer, this." I mean, it was a drug dealer. I went, "Oh, that's a new one." And they said another new one that I'd never heard before as well. So what they did is one of them went back off, and then he had this tripod with the 3 things, and he had it right in front of my face like that. I went, "Oh, you've made a decision now." I went, "You're going to have to do it or back off. What are you going to do?" And he backed off. What a winning situation would that have been for him? And the thing is then where he will got his information from in court. I want these sons of bitches in court, because no matter what people are saying, they can't lie in court because it is perjury, and we can prove it's perjury. Unless if they say something about me that isn't true, and then they use evidence of what somebody has said, then we get them in court. And that's why it's so important. That's why they don't want to see me in court. They will do anything but have me in court.
Your days in court, though, have been delayed considerably, haven't they? And now it's very clear to see why, because they don't want you to go to court, they being the opposition, and the judges don't want to see you there because they don't want to take your case on, do they? Cases. Well,
I've done all due diligence. I've done all the background work. I've taken on the doctors and their experts. Sol Faust at Southampton Hospital was the very first one that I questioned about the vaccines being tested on children that have failed on animals. Never got a reply. Then I went to Oxford University. Oh, Oxford University, Churchill Hospital. I've even seen the site. I've been to the it's a decrepit old hospital. It's fallen to pieces. It's like the old asbestos, you know, war barracks. It's horrendous there.
Churchill Hospital, though, has I've been there. I had some treatment there for cancer years ago, and they have a very swanky new front wing to it, but the back end, the arse end, is horrible. You're absolutely right. I've been in there. I know it kind of step by step in there. It's revolting.
And it's just falling to pieces. I mean, but anyhow, right at the back, by accident, and that's what I'm saying to you. You know, why did I find it by accident? I got lost in there, and I found the actual what do you call it? Like a mobile like a, kind of big trailer, big
Mobile
white trailer,
units.
and it had
Yes,
COVID on the side of it.
Yeah.
Found it by accident. And then anyway, we paid a visit back there as well afterwards. Now, the first time we went down there, we didn't realize this, but Prince William was there. They were taking him around that facility. Prince William was going there, and he's looking on the side, and there was police everywhere. I thought, police can't be here just for me, because we'd said we're going down to it. And then we found out afterwards, that's why they were all down there. They're all panicking that I'm going to go and jump in. And believe me, if I'd have known, I would have done, but I didn't know about it on the day. And then the one after that was Bristol University. So it is Adam Hill, or is it Adrian Hill? There's Adam Hill, he's at Bristol University, and Adrian. They've all got similar. If you've got similar names, I get goosed. So anyway, I went to Southampton Hospital, then Oxford Hospital, then Bristol Hospital, and I returned as well. And on two of the hospitals, I handed in all the documentation. I never had a reply. The only reply I did have was from Sol Faust at Southampton Hospital that said that he had too much time. Not enough time on his hands that he could see me. I went, well, I wonder why that is. And this is all before I went down to Downing Street, all before I was in the pen. So I'd already done the work that I'd done up to then. The fact that in 2000, when they had the meningitis C, and this is what everybody can look into, when they had the meningitis C vaccination, they'd already vaccinated 13 million people. The helpline where people were phoning up, and this was in the article from The Guardian or the Observer, one of the two, had said that the woman was told by these, do not go to the press. Her son had been affected by this. He dropped down in school. It affected his exams. It affected, his mental state and everything. And she was so beside herself that she said, she wanted to warn people. She was told by them not to go to the press. In opposition at that time with the Tory party. I don't know if you know if Liam Fox, the minister now, Liam Fox, is in the government, foreign, I think he's like sort of foreign business minister or something like that. He's a doctor. I actually questioned him outside Downing Street. He was in opposition, and he was asking the questions that we are asking now, because it was a Labour government when they did the meningitis C vaccine. He was asking the same question about we should have all the information. We should make a choice if we have the vaccines or not. Why now is in government is it suddenly you're not allowed to do that? So we can use this in court. And I questioned him when he came out of Downing Street, and I asked him about hydroxychloroquine. He mentioned the blind testing, all the things I wanted him to mention that we can then use in court. But he's a doctor. He should know this. Why isn't he where Matt Hancock is now? Because he would then, under his Hippocratic oath, not be allowed to use any of this. So we now know that ministers aren't in post to do the job, that to do it for the elites. But the meningitis C is important. Meningitis C was being rolled out around the country in our schools. We've been tested on the public, just like we are now in 2000, in our schools. 13 million people up to that point, right, of that article. Now, meningitis C only affects 1,500 people in the country. 64 million people, well, it'd be less than that, wasn't it, 20 years ago? Let's say 50 million people. So you've got 1,500, only 150 deaths. 150 deaths, and everybody's been inoculated for something that was such a small amount of people being affected. All right, it's horrific, but the side effects affected way more than 150 people, and long term as well. So we know once we get in court with this one here, the whole lot comes tumbling down. The police, the head of police, and they're the ones I'm going after, are the head of police, not the people on the ground.
So what is your case? What is the kind of, I don't know, what's the headline on your case? Why are you taking a court case now forward?
Well, no, right. That's the point. See, because I have no money, what I'm doing is I'm forcing them to, that's what I call myself, Acro Man, because that's the latest thing now, fighting the acros. I say fight the fine, so Acro Man is fighting the fine. So that's saying that's a business everybody else. I'm putting my head and my actions what I'm asking other people to do. So I'm not doing anything different. The cases where I've been arrested, I've actually put the police commissioner and others on notice, saying that they know that this is a fraud. They know it's a lie. So I'll get an example being Cressida Dick. She knows that her officers in July, August and September, well, July and August, maybe up to September, but up to where they started putting the masks on, didn't have any masks on in the vans. They were in the closest proximity to another officer in the back of a contained vehicle, you know, that transit-sized vehicle, and none of them had COVID. How is this transmissible? They didn't have any masks on, and they were dealing with people that they thought had COVID, and none of them died. Yet now, at the back end, after wearing masks, we've got five of their officers have died, and they're saying it's to do with COVID, with no proof. You see, we're not given the proof of it because our government lies. The government has got absolutely no trust at all, because every single one of the ministers at some point have been found out to be liars, meaning we need an investigation into those ministers. Priti Patel has just been found guilty. Well, not found guilty. She's paid off the civil servant that saying she was bullying him, 340,000 of public money, defended in court with public money, defending a minister that has now been proven to be a liar. Nobody's going to step down. So we have to force them out. The only way that we can get to the truth is through courts. The only way we're going to get this government down is that in numbers. But we have to prove, first of all, that the lies that they're doing, because the media ain't going to do it. So it's, you know what I mean? We then have a case that if they were to lock me up, I have done every single step, every reasonable step from trying to engage with the government and everybody else. Like I did with fracking. We did exactly the same thing with fracking. That's why I'm saying the laziness and the complacency of the elites and the government are doing exactly the same things. And that's why I know we'll beat them. There's no doubt about it. We'll beat them because the facts are all there. We're not making anything up. We're not the ones lying. And I do a saying, you know, the truth is its own fortress. If people start understanding that, we're unstoppable, because the truth will always be the same.
And that's what I can't understand. I find it very difficult to see, or difficult to understand, why people can't see what's happening. You know, they've just been hoodwinked and they're going along with it. I mean, it's psychological warfare on a humongous scale. It's on a world scale, isn't it? And
Yeah.
there's so many clever people who are believing this nonsense. And for something that affects less than 0.5% of the population, why would you lock people away? Why would you vaccinate people? It's all about money. It doesn't matter. It's not about politics. It's about money, isn't it?
Can I ask you something, Elaine? Have you got power? Have you got power?
I have personal power. I am powerful in my own sovereign state, as is the next person and the next person and the next person.
No, what I mean is, do you believe in you've got power, as in an entity that will that can make a difference in any way?
Absolutely, right. Yeah, I know I'm making a difference.
And so many people are doing that. Now, what we've got to understand is, and when everybody's feeling down, and this is what I know to my core, I know it. You've got a small amount of people, right, that think they've got all the power, right? They think they've got all the power. What we have, everything's got the same on each side. So even on our side, we've got nasty people, we've got violent people, we've got to accept that, all right? But so are they on their side. You've got people that want to be top dog on both sides. So what we're looking at now is that we've got the same tools as they've got. The thing that difference what we've got is we've got the majority of people on our side, and the numbers alone will overthrow these people. We've got good people all over the place, and some of these people are so clever they manage to stay in post even though they're on our side, on the right of good. So you've got to think how intelligent that person must be to be in that position. So let's just say in the legal system, for a judge to stay in that position, and you know, we won't be getting cases won had there not been good judges in there. But they're so powerful and so clever that they manage to stay in those positions. You know, say with police officers, we've got good chief inspectors out there that have managed to work their way up in the ranks. We're now at the crux of where 2021 will be the year of change. And there is no grey ground with this one. We either win or we lose. And the ones who are realizing that if we lose are going to do everything they can to make sure that we don't. And that's the energy behind us. You know, most of these people we're taking on, it's probably just like a 9-to-5 job where they get paid to do it. Yeah. Ours is our will. It's purely will. And that will beat all these sons of bitches. And that's why I've no doubt about it. That's why I can't go anywhere. I have to do this until the job's done. And we have to protect our kids. For me, every time of day, I'm going to go, right, how can I hurt them now? Every time I wake up in the morning going, right, what am I going to do today? And that's why I jump out of bed. I just go, right, how do I hurt them today? How am I going to damage these sons of bitches, these evil entities, these people that think they can run the world? the people that put crap in the sky and are allowed to by our government. First, you bring down your government, and that will be easy to do this year. Look at the parks. Did you see the parks yesterday? They were heaving.
Very, very busy, but it's not shown on mainstream, is it? It's all on Facebook, and then we know about Facebook taking things down, and here we go around the mulberry bush again. Well, it's been wonderful catching up again, Geza, and we must do this again, because I know you've got some interesting things that you're going to be doing in April. I don't know what they are, but I know you're a cheeky chappie, and it will be something that's going to make a humongous difference. So I'd like to interview you again. Well, I say interview you. All I need to do is ask a question, and you're off. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's all in here. You know, it doesn't have to be documented. And what I do say to people, I say, look, I'm coming all over the country. Ask me any question. I'll just tell you straight away. Because the thing is, I can't possibly know what's in your head or what your question until you ask me. But you can't possibly know what information I might give you that will be useful to you, or a contact that I might use to give to you. Because everything I get, I pass on to as many people as I can. And, you know, I think probably that's why people like my raw news, because it's genuine and it's always the truth. You know what I mean?
Where will people find the raw news?
Well, we've got raw news is on Facebook, on Geza Terjanyi, Geza Terjanyi, Tarjanyi. Now, if anybody wants any fracking information, there's two sites you can go on. One is Preston New Road 2017 Revisited, and that was like real time. That's up to date. That's real time of what was happening in 2017. That's on there. So it's documented from day one to where we are now. So if anyone wants to see what was going on at Preston New Road, you can. So that's what I'm saying to you about. I'm genuine. You know, there's bad things about Facebook, but this is the good thing. That once you've recorded it, it's on there, and that's it. You know what I mean? You can't go back and edit it. So and that keeps coming up on my pages. And the other one is Frack Free Filed, FYLDE, and that is my journey of becoming a campaigner. So when I left Preston New Road, I set up Frack Free Filed about March or April of that year. And again, that's my journey from then to where we are now. You know, and so that's the fracking journey, if you will. And the beginning of Geza Terjanyi is obviously when I was DJing and Kids Entertainer. So again, these are things that can't be made up. You know, it's there, it's documented. And like I said, I'm in a unique position that no matter how many people try and lie about you, whatever, you just go, where's your proof? I know that you're a liar because you're lying about me. And once I know that, then I'm coming for you. Then I'll expose you. And the first thing you can say to them is when I went down to High Noon, I said to them, where's your proof? And none of them had any proof. And then they start saying, you know, you're violent, Gage, you're this, you're trans, you know, all sorts of things. But none of them gave any proof because I just come at them. I just face them off.
Well, thank you.
So that's where we are now. So, sorry. Oh, and then also is Acroman.
Yeah.
Acroman on Telegram. So we want everybody to go over to Telegram. Sorry?
ACRO.
ACRO, Acroman. 1 minute. For some reason, power's gone on the laptop. And it pops out.
You're still here.
Yeah, well, there's not much. There you go.
Yeah.
Just had the dog in. It must have just wagged its tail and knocked it out.
All right. Okay. So.
Okay. So
you mentioned...
yeah, it's a case now that we need to just really work on now people that can work together to work together. People like yourselves, you know, interview people that, you know, that you've already done your research on. You've probably seen. I don't know. How do you know me, Elaine? How have you got to know about me?
Through our mutual friend, Maria Morrissey.
All right.
And also by seeing you on Facebook when you were down in the Pen in London, and I followed you on Facebook since, and then seen, and I thought it would be wonderful to interview you to, you know, get the true stories behind Geza Terjanyi. So you've mentioned about people contacting you, and you've mentioned Acroman on Telegram and the Raw News on Facebook. On our last interview, we gave the phone number, your phone number out.
Oh, could you do it again?
Yeah, do you want me to do it again? Because I know I've just got it ready here because I thought I bet you're bound not to remember your phone number. Okay, so any listeners that would like to get in contact with Geza, it's 07857
07857
061
yeah
095.
Thanks for that. Mwah.
I'll just do that again. 07857 061 095. Geza Terjanyi, thank you so much. And please look after yourself and be careful and eat properly. Drink plenty of quality water on your next few weeks, because I know you're going to be on the road. And please look after yourself.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Elaine. And like I said, we're going to have to interview you shortly as well, because you've got an amazing story.
Cool. I'll speak to you soon.
Respect. See you later, Elaine.